No matter where your shipments come from, they'll be collected in a single actionable page. Quickly select any number of shipments and post them directly to load boards instantly. Then your reps can easily manage all of their quotes from a single screen. But for carriers that won't allow real-time tracking, Ty has a simple feature that allows your reps to mass text drivers all in one click. Ty sends an email directly to your clients providing them with the recent tracking update. Easy, right?
I got friends only wanna talk business. I got expensive, cause winning's expensive. I got expensive, cause winning's expensive. I've been winning all the war. And I've been shutting down the stars.
And welcome to Put That Coffee Down, the Freight Sales Show for closers. My name is Kevin Hill. I'm your host for the next half hour as we talk about sales and marketing in freight, transportation, logistics. I have a good friend, Omar Singh from Surge Transportation, joining me a little bit later in the show. We're going to talk about automating from pricing to capacity, automation, and how that ups your sales game. We're also going to talk about the Freight Tech Top 100 because Surge Transportation is a member of that group this year. And the voting is currently going on until Monday, October 10th, for the top 25 from our special outside panelists of voters, all, gurus in the freight and logistics and freight tech industry. So that will be announced at F3 here in Chattanooga. So if you haven't bought your tickets for F3, buy those now, November 1st through the 3rd here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's going to be a festival. It's going to be fun. And on November 3rd, up on the main stage, we are going to announce the top 25, including the top freight tech company of this year. So come join us. You can see it right there. Chattanooga is a beautiful place, a beautiful downtown. We'll be doing events all across downtown. So come join us. You can go to live.freightwaves.com to buy your tickets today. With that right there, Future of Freight Festival. Again, you can click on that button there at live.freightwaves.com and buy your ticket. So what's going on in the freight markets right now? We talk about spot rates. I was on FreightWaves Now this morning talking to my good friend Tony Mulvey, another research analyst here, about the maritime markets, about how that's dropping. And it looks, the rates from, say, Asia to the West Coast look very similar to what we saw in trucking. We'll throw up the spot rate chart right here and look and see over the last year in relative terms what's happened. The orange line here is, our national truckload index of dry van spot rates, excluding fuel surcharges. The white line is including those fuel surcharges, and with the crazy action of diesel prices, you see an 18% drop over the last year with fuel. Without fuel, that's how I kind of like to look at it, is without fuel. You see it is 30% lower. Right now, the national average is $1.95, and with fuel is $2.69. So what does that do to shippers and shipper mentality? We're seeing contract rates come down as well. Here in the research department, we did do a survey of carriers and brokers talking about what their shipper customers are starting to do. When it's very tight capacity, you'll see shippers expand the portfolio of transportation providers. And I use that term to cover both brokers and carriers. You'll see them expand that, just trying to get capacity. And when the market turns like it does right now, you see a tightening of the number of providers or vendors that shippers will work with, because it's difficult to onboard. It's difficult to spread the freight around, keep everybody happy. I know as a freight broker, I had a lot of great customers who really struggled, and I worked as a shipper too, and you kind of struggle handing freight out and handing those opportunities out to different providers, and you feel bad when your volumes go down. So what we the question right here is, when talking to shippers, what has been their sentiment for increase or decreasing their current portfolio of transportation providers now compared to last year? And you see about a third are saying they're keeping them about the same, but almost another third, about 28%, are saying that there's a slight decrease, and then another 12%. So you have about 40% of our respondents saying that they're seeing a decrease in the number of transportation providers that their shipper clients are working with. You add that in with the almost a third of respondents who are saying keeping about the same. So keeping about the same or decreasing covers a large swath, about 70% of our respondents. And that's kind of what we're all out selling in light of, right? We're falling rates, shippers that are looking to kind of cull down the number of providers. And that's where technology really comes into hand to build that sales process. We've been talking about it over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll continue to talk about it because you have to become more efficient in your sales game, in your pricing game, in your capacity game, in kind of those business processes that technology can help. We talked to Ty TMS last week, and a shout out to Ty here. Ty TMS saves 3PLs and brokers an average of over 2 hours a day per rep, with a smooth workflow designed to help you speed up your process and scale the growth of your brokerage. With a centralized platform integrated with your load boards, rating tools, and carrier compliance, Ty TMS customers see an average 30% increase in monthly shipment volume. Visit tai-software.com today to schedule a demo. And once again, that's tai-software.com. So go there, schedule a demo, see the new tech that is out. Ty TMS, another Freight Tech 100 grouping on the list. And our next guest here, Omar Singh, founder and president of Surge Transportation, is another member of that top 100 this year on the Freight Tech Top 100. So, Omar, welcome to the show.
Nice to be back. How are you today?
Doing great. It's always great to have you on the show. Fun time talking to you. Always a great topic, and we have another one here today. We're going to talk about automation and for automating pricing to capacity. But let's talk about something else as well, because we were talking about this earlier this week on the phone. The word 3PL and what exactly that means, and kind of all the aspects in it, because it's kind of a blanket term that we use, and it can throw confusion on a number of different things.
Yeah, I think so. I think, to be honest with you, it's 3PL, and then there's kind of a hyphen that's not used, right? Because you can have like 5 categories in my mind, so you got the non-asset truckload, you got the non-asset managed transportation, you've got the non-asset outsourced transportation, and then you have warehousing and distribution, and then international, which controls both warehousing, distribution, and probably inland transportation and some ocean or air. So it's kind of like they all go by 3PL, but the hyphen matters. Is a 3PL transportation provider, a 3PL warehouse, or a 3PL managed trans, international. So the 3PL gets used a lot. I think the description doesn't get used a lot, and it just lends to a lot of confusion in conversations.
It does. We used to we were freight brokers, and that's all we did. We didn't do any warehousing. We didn't do any managed trans, dedicated services, anything. But we always led with 3PL. And after about 5 minutes of explaining exactly what you do to whatever prospect you're talking to, you kind of decide that, well, you might want that 3PL label, or it might sound better than freight broker. But it really wasn't at the end of the day, because freight broker, if that's all you're doing, if you're non-asset based, supplier of capacity, then if you tell people that, if you tell your prospects that, there's no confusion. It's very concrete, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, and as far as it relates to sales, right? I mean, we have to accurately describe what it is that we're trying to do or how we're trying to provide value. And so, kind of as I think about it, it's what we really do at Surge is non-asset based, 3PL broker, which means I am going to give you sort of my capacity, the 50,000 carriers who we work with, right, to XYZ shipper.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go 3PL managed transportation, that's like saying, I am going to work with your providers who you give me, and I'm just going to kind of execute the routing guide. And then if you go 4PL model, which is outsourced, that's like saying, I am both going to give you providers and run your routing guide and manage your entire network. And all of those are really different. And if you confuse your customer on what it is that you do, I think, you'll lose their attention span pretty fast.
You will, and depending on who you're talking, the other category of 3PL is warehousing inventory, which is something that is very specific, is very niche, and the fact that they're both called 3PLs can really land to a lot of confusion because the warehousing people don't really, that they don't really have anything to do with capacity or finding trucks for the most part, and the freight brokers don't have anything to do with managing your inventory levels.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, what a huge value that sort of outsourced warehouse 3PLs do, for their customers. But you're right, they don't run routing guides, but they're managing all of your inbound shipments and your outbound shipments and your inventory, and it's a huge responsibility and a huge value.
Oh yeah,
but it has it has nothing to do with what we do. So it's just so different the way that the terms are used and the relationships.
Yeah. Two essential logistic transportation entities that are set up in their own niches to be the best possible at what they do.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about automating pricing to capacity and kind of what that means and kind of the landscape of entities out there that kind of do this or what parts that they might play in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be, in the Freight Tech Top 100. It's the first year we kind of threw our hat in, even though I think probably we could have been earlier. But, a lot of our efforts had always been focused on automating the customer side, TMS integrations and pricing. But now we've kind of achieved full circle end to end with also automating the booking, both on the popular national load boards and our own Surge Transportation board. And so it's really exciting to have kind of come full circle with automation. And I think there are fewer than 10 companies really doing it significantly. I mean, obviously, I think every year that number is going to go up exponentially. But it's nice to be on kind of maybe the second wave of companies doing it. So it's pretty exciting for us.
It is. And so Surge Transportation, when did you found Surge?
2016, the end of 16. So one could say 17.
2017. And fantastic growth powered by a commitment to technology about formalizing and really automating some of the not menial tasks, but some of the really labor intensive non-revenue producing tasks and some of the revenue producing tasks, getting pricing in place, getting capacity in place, and using technology to leverage that.
Yeah, it's been exciting. I mean, sort of our business model was very traditional, backup business continuity, published backup rates, and it works well. It really resonates with enterprise level shippers, but we didn't have a tech play until 2019. So even when we entered the market in 17, it was on the traditional things that had worked, for a long time since my trucking days. And then as we started getting exposed to learning what some of the other tech companies were doing and how we can build a team to implement that, we started that kind of journey in 2019. And it's been exciting. So, I never thought I would be a product development CEO, but I spend a lot of time and energy on product development. So it's been a lot of fun.
What's the main lesson you've learned spending your time product development?
Oh, well, I don't know if I can give you a main lesson, but yeah, definitely sort of, I think always try to learn what's out there, right? I mean, I still take solicitations on LinkedIn. I take calls. Always try to learn and see kind of who's out there, because our tech journey started with a company that I thought I would never kind of have a need to work with, and then we were presented, and I had a call though with them, and I said, well, listen, I think I'm not the right company for you, but if anything changes in the future, I'll give you a call. And then an opportunity presented itself to get into, real-time pricing. So I had a connection and said, okay, listen, I need to learn more about this, and kind of let's get into it. And but that's just a result of trying to at least take a couple calls a week and say, yeah, maybe I won't give you everyone 30 minutes, but I'll give you 15, and then if it's worth it, we'll go for an hour, but so.
Yeah, keeping your eyes open, shopping around. When you're talking, because you're on the spot market, the search is designed for the spot market. What are some of the differences or key components whenever you're trying to automate anything that primarily deals with the spot market, because of the volatility that's embedded in there? I mean, is that different than if you're mostly use contract rates or rates that are set in place?
Well, I'll say it's been interesting this year, because now that market rates are lower than contract rates, shippers are also have a much larger appetite for kind of the real-time rate optimizer. So that the two rating APIs are, spot market API, which is kind of standard. There's a load that's not covered, provide a rate, and you do it instantly. But the real-time optimizer, there are a lot of configurations that shippers can use after they've tendered their loads to their primaries to sort of get inserted in the routing guide. And that's becoming more and more popular. But yeah, not every shipper has us turned on with complete automation. And so we've had to build robots in order, to go in and make sure we don't miss any bids, or to get after hours bids. And so we build automation that's sometimes in collaboration with the shippers, and sometimes it's just internal. Everything from different things we do on load boards to internal processes, using any kind of automation software. But it's always worth the investment in building the automation into whatever the workflow is, for sure.
How about on the capacity side? You're talking about the end to end. You see companies that might do pricing or might do capacity, but tying it all together. But on the capacity side, what was the most important technology out there, or the technology that enables the most important process?
Well, I mean, I'm always a favor of, to be honest with you, of a blend of automation, that's supported by kind of traditional follow through, because we've sort of had the same business model for 12 years now, even though there's technology involved. So if with our automated bookings, if it's loads.surgetransportation.com, or some of the other national load boards, or larger load boards, it's always, so you can book a load, you can negotiate a load, you can quote a load through all kinds of automation. You can set rules around accepting counteroffers or making counteroffers. But as soon as something is booked, we want to get a person on the phone and say, okay, let's speak to the driver. Let's make sure they know what's going on. Let's make sure this wasn't by mistake, just kind of clicking around. So I think follow through for us is a really big part of it. I mean, so I love the end-to-end part, but I wouldn't say that the fully part, because we're going to get involved as soon as something is quoted, so.
Yeah, certainly maybe not fully automated. You have to have those human controls in place, I suppose, to navigate the system, and you always have exceptions, right? And the exceptions or the rule a lot of times in logistics. So you need that human in place to really be able to solve, to define solutions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then I think in my experience with sort of the booking automation with our carrier partners is, if they're disconnected from the relationship, right, from the booking, and they pre-book 3 or 4 or 5 days out, I think they just maybe don't know who to call as easily to say, I'm not going to be in Jacksonville on Friday, right? And that's very normal, and it's acceptable when they give you a day or two notice. It's a little bit different if it's same day or same afternoon. That's different. But all of these things happen. They're a very natural part of the business. But we have to be careful because if we send out a rate con from a carrier rep, it's going to have their name and their extension number. But if it's through automation, it doesn't. And so we have to work a little bit harder to make sure the communications are still taking place, as if they had booked it with a rep, from the beginning. So
when you look out at Freight Tech and yourself and kind of what you're fascinated with and looking forward to developing the next product there at Search, I mean, what are some of the areas that that you're fascinated with or that you're eager to start implementing?
Well, I think I would say the fascination is, to see how the industry is adopting tech, right? Because even, you were talking about there's a tech load board, that Ty, who you were talking about earlier, and we're in the same group, but we don't do the same things at all, right? They're TMS and we're brokers, but we're in the same group of Freight Tech, and so I think there's just this huge wave of new partners and new providers and new load boards and new brokers and just new things happening that to me is really exciting, and it makes the conversations exciting when we're at either tech conferences or TMS conferences or just potential customer shipper conferences. I mean, so all of that to me is fascinating. My long story short, I started driving trucks in 1994 and first trucking company in 2003. And I would say there weren't a lot of changes before 2016, 17. And just to see this wave of kind of, excitement of tech being introduced to the industry has been really exciting. So that's, I would say, probably the fascinating part for me. As far as roadmap and product development, I still have a kind of linear process in our workflow, from our quoting engines to our TMS to our carrier booking, and it all works, but it's linear, and we're bringing in kind of API hubs to close the loop and make everything a circle, so every system's talking to every system. And that's a big project, but it's really exciting. I mean, it's our 2023 roadmap. So.
Do you get excited about the roadmaps? Do you get excited about putting those together? I mean, is that something that you really enjoy?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I still have to focus on operations and all of these other things, but yeah, no, it's exciting when I think about what the possibilities are when everything's talking to each system. So I think that's
a lot of times a lot of times you start down a path and you start doing something you didn't really expect to be doing, and it becomes fun. It becomes the highlight of having the business almost, right? Is being able to participate in that and build out that roadmap and have a really good in-depth knowledge of what exactly you need.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that helps, kind of being involved in the development and having the knowledge. It helps explain it. It helps sell it. It helps, continue to develop it, for sure. Very involved, but it's a balance between being spread really thin, with all of the different distractions and responsibilities, but also finding a way to continue to enjoy it and hopefully build a big enough team that they can start taking other responsibilities off. So I've had to really rely on my team to maybe take some of the operational or financial responsibilities off, so that I can focus more on product development than I used to, which takes a lot more time, than in the past. Was making sure the loads are covered. I mean, so now I'm not doing as much of that, so that I can focus on that, the other parts. But
so, Omar, are you going to be here in Chattanooga November 1st for F3?
Yeah, there are a couple of people sore that it's Halloween. They're going to miss their Halloween, so hopefully we'll be able to get into some costumes or trick or treating the night before. But yeah, we'll be there.
There'll be some Yeah, there'll be some
Yeah.
Halloween festivities as well. So I'm glad you're going to come join us here at F3, and I'm sure you'll be listening on November 3rd, and hopefully Surge Transportation gets voted into that top 25.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I'm looking forward to seeing you and spending some more time. So
Yeah.
it should be a great event.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely get a beer sometime in those 3 or 4 days that we're here in Chattanooga. And again, thanks for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, great to talk to you as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Omar. And that's Omar Singh, president of Surge Transportation, made it into the Freight Tech Top 100 this year. Again, we'll be announcing the top 25 voted on an outside panel of industry experts here in Chattanooga F3 coming up very soon, November 3rd, less than a month away. We'll be announcing the top 25 and the number one place. But that's it for this episode of Put That Coffee Down. We'll see you next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time.
I got friends